research.
Hello, welcome to Little Big Circle, where we're little in size and big in conversation. I am your host, Peggy.
And I'm your co-host, Juice. Welcome to the show. We have our panel back. So good to have you guys back. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves real quick before we dive into our topic today, which is suicide in the Black community. So we're going to go ahead and let Tessie introduce herself.
My name is Tessie, and I am coming to you live from North Carolina.
All right, nice to have you again.
Yes, nice to have you, Tessie.
Marlo.
Great to be here.
It's your boy, and I'm so glad to be on this Little Big Circle show. I'm on the west side of the ATL show.
All right, nice to have you, Jemarlo. We love your spirit. We love your energy. So our conversation is very serious today. As you know, we have a lot of suicide going on, not only in the Black community, but not only in the Black community. So I'm not knowledgeable about suicidal itself, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to help. And with that, I would like to send this to the panel. And Tessie, will you start us first?
Do you need to do the disclaimer or the?
Yeah, this is a
Thank
tough
you.
conversation. So if there are any young kids or if you've been in a situation and talking about suicide or listening to it is either a trigger or you're just not able to deal with it, we ask that you watch one of our other podcasts.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tessie, for the reminder. All right. Digging in.
Yes. So I lost my son last March of 2019 to suicide. And it has been a really rough year. Like 2020 is not, it's like it's not playing fair. You have all these people going through all this stuff, and then 2020 happens that just makes everybody go through more stuff. And dealing with suicide is hard. And that's what I have to say to start off. I don't know.
Yeah.
How old was your son?
He was 21. He was just a month shy of turning 22. He shot himself in the head at his grandmother's house, his dad's mom. And yeah. So it's been really hard on our family.
So most people don't see suicide coming, especially when it's a child or a parent or sibling. Were there any signs that you know of that could have said, anything that rang an alarm that this was even a thought in his mind?
No, and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about suicide. For the most part, and this is just in talking to people like from my support groups that I attend, for the most part, there are no signs. Most of the time when somebody is being suicidal, they're asking for help, and they're not they're in a very bad place, but they're not necessarily ready to take that next step. And generally speaking, when it happens, like a lot of people I've talked to, with the exception of one, but their son had been like trying for a long time, and he like just actually completed. There's nothing there. Like I had just talked to my son, and he had I talked to him earlier that day, and he was upset, but it wasn't anything outside of normal 21-year-old upsetness, and so I wish he would have said something, or everybody's like, I wish I could have, but there were no signs. His friends were like, no, like if it would have been a different point in time, then maybe, like there were other days where I would have been worried, but that day, that wasn't even a concern.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay, welcome, Monique. We're glad to have you on the Little Big Circle. And we're really digging into this conversation. Is really serious and it's heartwarming, you know. So, but before we get into that, we would like to introduce you to the audience. Can you tell us where you're from and where you your name?
My name is Monique Watts, and I'm from Huntsville, Alabama.
Good to have you,
Awesome.
Miss
Good.
Monique.
Good to have you, Monique. Okay,
Thank you.
So Tessie was allowing us a little insight into her life over the past year. She lost her son, who was a month shy of turning 22, to suicide. No signs. There wasn't like any telltale signs that, hey, today is the day that she was going to lose her son. And I think that's what a lot of people experience with their kid commit suicide. I had a friend in high school, and it was the same thing. Great kid, like happy, just the life of the party. Always would take his shirt off his back for somebody else, and then we get the news that he took a shotgun and blew his head off. And it was just like, well, did he say anything to anybody? What happened? What led up to that? Like, you ask yourself, what was so bad? How could I have helped? What could I have done? Is there something we could have said? And a lot of times, there's not. We don't know, because we're not in their mind. We're not in that moment. It's a lot of vices that are up against, especially these young people now. There's so many vices that they're up against that we just are unaware of, or maybe we assume, they can handle it. They're adults on some level.
On some level, but and I think, to piggyback on Judea, I'm thinking society have a lot to do with that. As far as we don't have the tools that we need to help our children in this time. Because see, most of our children are not going to talk to us, ourselves. They want to reach out, but they don't know how to reach out. And we don't have the tools in the bucket to show them how to reach out. Some especially with a black male or something like that, they got that ego. They have an ego that they don't even, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I'm good. But in the back, they wanting to, they're not feeling accepted in some situations, and I don't know no one that, I don't know nobody that had suicide, but I'm trying to stop whoever's listening to us, that here are some signs that you might catch as a mother, as a father, as an auntie, as an uncle, as a bus driver, as a teacher, to know that this child is going through something, And with that, I'm gonna piggyback. I'm gonna give it to Jemarlo as a teacher.
Man, wow. I think for me, I have, being honest, I have dealt with a level of depression where I felt like I couldn't go on. Like literally 2 years ago, my wife walked out on me and it was over. We had been divorced, but she had finally left. I didn't feel like I could go on. Like I was done. I was in a state of depression where I literally would go to school. By the time I finished school, come back home, I go up under the cover and wake up the next morning. I was just done with it. I felt as if it was nothing else for me to do. Like I was on that brink. Yeah, I ain't want to talk to nobody. I did have the tools that were in place, but I had to get beyond the point of the pride that I had to get the help. Like to really holistically get the help, get into some groups and counseling to really, hey, you gonna make it through this. If you got some medicine you gotta take, you just gotta take the medicine. We don't necessarily talk about that in our community. To get into therapy, to get into counseling, to sit in a group to deal with your issues, your internal struggle. And that what it kind of boiled down for me. That was an internal struggle for me of having a failed marriage, being in ministry and still having a failed marriage, not being able to obtain what I really want to obtain, going through all these cycles, going through just life. Life had done a number, like a real number. And it was no more bounce back. It wasn't no bounce back. Like, it was easy for me. You lose the car, boom, you can bounce back. You lose the house, you can bounce back. But after that keeps on happening, there's no more bounce back in me. So it was a process, and being determined to say, looking at the man in the mirror, Jemarlo, you need to get better for you. Not for anybody else. You need to get better for you.
Excuse me, Marlo, can you really speak up, because the conversation is good, but I can't hardly hear you. I don't know about the panel, but I want this to be heard.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Oh, what part you didn't hear?
You were low.
You was real low in the whole,
I'm sorry.
and you're still low. Is that your mic?
I'm not even on the mic. I'm just using the speaker on here. Can you hear me now?
How can everyone hear him?
Yeah, it's better when you lean close.
Oh, got to lean in. Okay.
Lean in. There you go.
Yeah, but for me, I dealt with it. I thought I couldn't go on. Just being real talk, I thought I couldn't go on. Me and my wife had got divorced. Ex-wife got divorced. It was still the for me. You were there. I wasn't ready for you to leave, but you were there. And then when you left, I felt like I couldn't do it no more. Life was just, it was over. How can I live without this person that I lived with for 14 years? So for me, I had to really deal with who I was. I had to get beyond the place of, yeah, this happened. Yeah, all this stuff had happened in your marriage. Yeah, you lost all this stuff, but now you're left with the residue of who you are, the man of who you are. And I had to get beyond the pride and really go out there and get some help. Like, real talk, I had to get some help. I had to get involved with some groups that would help me with the therapy, help me with the counseling, help me with the process of being a man dealing with internal struggles, and not and just literally just, hey, one of my group leaders, he told me, he said, man, you are in a place where if you don't start taking some medicine, that's gonna be it for you. So I literally was on medicine, antidepressant medication, to be able to get me out of the funk. And true enough, I was able to hide it. So I was so well mastered in hiding my depression that I could turn on the smile like that. But the internal struggle was, after, when these people don't see me, I'll just go home, turn all the lights off.
Wow.
But that's when you are in that state, that mental state, there's dark places, you're able to turn it on. Yes, you are seeking for help and you screaming, but you can't, but you're not screaming loud enough for people to help you.
How does one help? Because it's almost taboo in our community, in our culture, to even talk, let alone go to a counselor or a therapist. It's taboo to even be on anything for depression, right? Depression is nothing but the devil, right? That's just go pray, just go pray. And yes, prayer works, but there's something there that we have to work on, and we have to be okay with saying, hey, I am praying, and in my praying, in my faith, in my believing, I'm also working with towards it, right? Because everybody doesn't have a person that's going to come to them or know them that well to say, snap out of it, or we just don't know. What were the words that kind of helped you climb out of that dark place that you were in, so that if any of us see someone in there, we can say, okay, let's try this tactic. You know, so most people, when they don't want to be bothered, we kind of put our hands up, or, you know, the smile, the mask that they put on is so well that we just don't know. So what was the words that you heard that kind of got you out of that?
But I think Judea is trying to say is that everyone don't have a prayer relationship on this panel. I mean, in
the world,
the world, that they don't have that prayer relationship and that prayer partner that people would usually say, well, let's go pray or pray about it. A lot of people don't have that today, and society is like pushing the prayer out, period, and the relationship with God out. You know, that's what I think. But as Judea was saying, what signs or what words can we give unto that unspoken child, that unspoken girl, boy, woman, man, you know, teacher, police officer, the unspoken? What kind of words should we be looking for? Tessie?
I don't think it's words as much as it is if you lead someone to believe getting help is bad, then it doesn't matter what words you use. So you're not going to get help. And somebody could give you every word in creation, and it's not going to help you because getting help is perceived as being a bad thing. What we have to do is start encouraging people to get help. Depression ain't the devil. It's an issue. And while the devil may be helping to apply pressure to sink you further into your depression, God made therapists, so you should use them. And I think a lot of times what people want to do is pray about it, pray about it, pray about it, but you're praying about it and you don't know how to help yourself. And your prayer partner doesn't have the skills to help you. So you're praying and praying and praying, and you're asking God and you're seeking God. And then you just decide, I'm about to go be with God, instead of going to seek a therapist to get the help that you need to help pull you out of it, going to the support groups or going to talk to people, or just acknowledging I have a problem. And so maybe these feelings of I don't want to exist anymore are part of that problem. I think I like to use that story of the man and that flood, and it's like it was flooding and they told him, hey, get out, and he didn't get out, and it was flooding, and they sent a boat to get him and he didn't get out, and they sent a helicopter to get him and he didn't get out, and he finally drowned. And when he got to heaven, he's like, oh God, why didn't you help me? He's like, well, we told you, I sent you a boat, sent you a helicopter, I sent you all this stuff.
Okay.
You didn't take advantage of any of it. You know, welcome home, I'm gonna give you a hug. But if we don't start encouraging people, and not even just kids, because kids are going to do what they see adults doing, they're going to do what they see their friends doing, they're going to do what they see entertainers doing, like their favorite entertainers and stuff. If we don't start saying getting help is okay, especially in the Black community, then people aren't going to get the help they need. And there are some things that maybe you do just pray on it and you feel better. But when you sink deep into a depression, that I just, is prayer in itself. If you just hold it all in and pray about it, you need to get that stuff out. If you're choking, you need to cough up what you're choking on. Depression is like you're choking on just life. And how do you get it out if you never talk about it? Because people, a lot of times, they don't even pray out loud. It's like you're just holding it all in and letting it get build and build and build. And then where does it have to go?
Right. And I think we use prayer as a crutch sometimes. It's a crutch.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pray. I'm just going to pray. I'm just going to pray. Even the Bible says, all right, get up off your knees. You're praying too much. You don't want to pray so much that you're no earthly good.
That's
right. Prayer, when we talk to God, we should talk to him constantly. We should have that open dialogue with him. But then there's times where there's a cutoff valve, and it's like someone just cut the valve off, and that person can just be sinking. And if the only option is to pray, they're not going to get anywhere, because they're not hearing, they're not letting it out. Like you said, they don't even pray out loud. So there's no screaming. There's no, the cry for help is literally internal, and none of us can even hear it.
It's like a scream on mute. Jemarlo was saying it's like you're screaming, and you're not screaming loud enough. You're screaming on mute. Nobody can hear you because you want to hide it. And I think, like I struggled with depression a long time, and just even like growing up, I really struggled. And it was always, well, you just have an attitude, or you just this, or you just that. And it wasn't a thing of getting help. And when I finally did, when they said, no, you need to take her to see somebody, it was always an inconvenience. And it was always, oh, why do I got to do this? So it just pushed me further and further down, because nobody could see I need help. What you're giving me is not enough. I was a child. I didn't know how to say, this is what I need, which turned me into an adult who still couldn't express it. My son saved my life, and now he's gone. And it's like, so I spend all my time trying to figure out, what can I do to help somebody? And I'm just like, if all I can do is help somebody feel a little bit better for a small part of the day, then I feel like he didn't die in vain. I tell people, get help. You see something, get help. Have these hard conversations. Ask the question. Because if you feel like something is going on and you say, hey, what's going on? And they say nothing. And you say, oh, well, I asked them and they said nothing. Is that really helping? You have to send links and to send stories and to share your story. Like, people ask me about my son and they always want to be, oh, it's so hard or whatever. Like, you're trying to tell me it's hard for you to come to me and ask me a question. My son is dead.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
It's harder for me than whatever you're saying. But if you come to me, I'm still going to say it, because I want you to know what I feel would have helped my son is for him to be around people that said, hey, man, going to see a therapist ain't bad. That's what I think would have helped him, because I really think that what he needed was to talk to somebody about what was going on, about his issues, about all the trauma he was carrying from a child. I know in a previous episode, Jemarlo has said when he finally met his dad, things clicked for him. There were some things that clicked for him. And people don't understand that these relationships with parents, with friends, they all work together to create who you are as a person. And when there's something missing, if somebody's desiring something you can't give them, what else can you give them to help them fill that void so that they can process it or something?
Oh, wow. That was good. Monique, you want to chime in? Unmute yourself.
Okay. No, I was saying I never experienced, this situation, or don't know anybody, personally, but, it's just a serious conversation, and I'm just being enlightened and taking in, what can be done, and just helpful situations, in case I have somebody who I see the signs with. So I think this is a very important topic, and I appreciate you guys doing this topic, and like I said, I'm just taking it in, and, so if I find anybody that has any of these signs or whatever, I can try to help them too.
Absolutely.
Tessie would be probably a good resource because she's living it.
Yes, yes.
Let me drop in something.
All right, Jemarlo.
One of the signs is definitely body language.
Okay.
Our nonverbal communication speaks a lot for us. When we are nonverbal, if people know you, they can be able to pick up on those nonverbal cues that you are doing. If they don't know you, it just looks like, oh, he's having a bad day or she's having a bad day. But those nonverbals are so important. But that has everything to do, us as people, Black people, we have to be able to let people in to know us. We have to let go of the pride and let some folks in. Because true enough, we may have let the wrong people in we tore the gate down, let them in, and then messed up over us. And now we get to a new space and we got a wall up. And once you become into new spaces with new people, those people can be the people that can really take you to the next level. And when they're taking you to the next level, they can provide healing for you. They can provide a source of community for you. They can provide resources for you. So when they are being able to pick up on those nonverbal cues, hey man, you need to go see somebody. Or hey, you want to be a part of this group? Or hey, if you feel like talking, because you need somebody to talk to that's not going to give their opinion. They're just going to be that sounding board. You just want somebody, everybody in the world want to be heard. They don't always want advice. They just want to be heard to get it out. Because true enough, in some spaces, we were silenced as a child.
We can't hear you.
Say it ain't so.
There we go.
Y'all can't hear me. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. You know that devil mad. Go ahead.
Anyway, to that quote with children being seen and not heard has been a pivotal quote for our community. And with that quote, we have silenced a lot of people. They have took on the internal struggles of trauma, be it molestation, rape, whatever, abuse, whatever, because they were told to be silent and just to be seen. Now they get to adulthood and they don't know what to do with their life.
Right.
Nobody gave them anything to, hey man, you need to release, you need to talk to somebody, school counselor, teacher, trust somebody with what you got going on so you can be better. I hope y'all heard that.
We did. Oh man, this conversation is such a joy and knowing about suicide. But as you know, it's that time. It is that time. It's time for us to do our Bet You Didn't Know questions. And this time I'm gonna throw it back to you. I'm gonna say who you are and you tell me what your Bet You Didn't Know question is. All right, go ahead, Monique.
I was gonna say, don't pick me because look, I didn't give them. So, do you give a what?
Monique, just say, I bet you didn't know what.
Oh, just oh my goodness. I bet you didn't know I'm getting ready to turn 50.
Wow, woo! We didn't know that. All right, Tessie.
I bet you didn't know I drove to Toronto once.
Ooh, from where?
From Ohio, not from Vegas.
Oh, all right. Woo. Go ahead, Marlo.
I bet you didn't know I'm finishing my first book.
Ooh.
First what?
Exciting.
Your first book, you said?
Yeah. My first book. Right, gonna be my only book.
Ooh, congrats.
Yeah.
I bet you didn't know I broke my nose. I didn't. Jumped off a patio with my bike.
Ooh.
Wow.
I bet you didn't know that I was a caregiver.
I think everybody knew that one.
Yeah.
Everybody out there don't know that. You
You
might
look
know
like
that.
you give care. You look like a caregiver.
Oh,
You
thank
do.
you.
I'm just saying.
Okay, look. Thank you for joining us on this on Little Big Circle show, and I appreciate you. And I also use our awesome panel, always awesome. We love you. in the audience, we love you. We offer you to come and put your comments down below, or either email the show and tell us what you think about it and give us some feedback. And not only that, maybe we will have one of your questions that you want to ask the public on our show. And we thank you for joining us once again. Do you have any last remarks?
You guys are great. Tessie, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You too, Jemarlo.
Yes, and until we meet again, peace.
He's so true.